Hello and welcome. This is Tamiya Robles. I am the host of this podcast, Adoption Exposed. Today, I'm going to talk about a very important thing that comes up a lot during an adoptee's life, for the most part, for most of us, for many of us, for those that know that we are adopted, for those that whose parents introduced them to the world as their adopted child. I cannot stand that. I hate it. It boils my blood when I hear adoptees go through that. It hurts my heart because for so many reasons. But anywho, a lot of times when people know that you are adopted or it's an open forum for some people, the response that the public gives us are, who are your parents? Oh, you mean your real parents. When you talk about your biological parents, and to others, they want to deem them as your real parents because I don't know why. I'm going to assume because they gave you life that you're supposed to acknowledge them as your real parents when that's not the case. At least not in my opinion. These are my opinions. If you are an adopted individual and you feel that your biological parents are your real parents, then that's on you. More than likely, I'm going to say that that's how you were raised. You were raised, it was very clear that you were not of them, you're adopted. Like, wear that scarlet letter, why don't you? A for adopted. So, this is how I feel about it. My real parents are the parents that raised me, the parents that have been with me since I was 6 months old. My real parents are the parents that daydreamed and wanted a child and prayed for what they got, a young black, a baby, a young black baby, new for the most part to this world, under a year old, poor environment, probably wouldn't have a successful life without them, one that they could nurture, inspire, educate. Those are my parents. Those are my real parents. Same with my family. So my family is my family. My it's even hard for me to explain it because it's just embedded in me that my real family is the family that I call my family now. And actually inclusive of my Chester family. If you heard my first episode where I talk about I was in foster care, I was kicked out of the house, placed in foster care, and I have nieces and nephews and their moms and their cousins, they're my nieces and nephews' cousins, like their siblings that I haven't even met yet. That's my family as well, and you can't tell them any less. I was their auntie when they were babies, so that's all they know to call me, and their kids call me auntie. So it's like that's my family. Now let's get down to it, how this is a problem, like the conversations that I wind up having with people with regards to this. Now, to be honest with you, I don't really have an issue if a stranger says it because they don't know me. They don't know the background. They don't understand how I would feel about it. It's not a thing to them. So I don't necessarily get pissed when a complete stranger says your adoptive mom and dad or your real family or however they word it. I do correct them sometimes depending on how long this person is going to expect to be in my life. Like if you're just a fly by day night person, like I don't care. The doctors, it's different, it's fine for them to say, but they are they should know better not to say your real parents, but they will say biological. So that's cool. But I've had friends that knew that I was adopted, or maybe close associates that knew I was adopted, and they would say, "Oh, your real parents." I'm talking about your real parents. I'm not talking about, you know, the ones you, and I have to correct them like, no, these are my parents. And if I have to correct you more than once, you're not a friend. If I have to correct you more than once, you don't care about me. You're not loved. I don't love you. We got problems because what you're doing now is you're trying to put this label on me, this stamp, and you're making it me versus them type of communication, type of feeling. And that's not how I was raised. I wasn't raised that way. Now, as far as the rest of my family is concerned, it's the same thing. I was never acknowledged, at least not to my face. Let me say that. I can't speak for what people say behind closed doors. That's their business. But in front of my face, we had other issues going on as far as the family is concerned. And saying that Tamiya is the adopted child was the bottom of that list. Like, that's just how real families are. That's how I know this is my family. You understand? So that wasn't a thing. Now I have had friends where I had to check them a couple of times and let them go. And I've actually had some family, right? So growing up, I never had that problem. But I had the problem for the first time in my life when it was like a couple of years ago. It was like my mother was still alive. So I want to say 3 years ago. It was during the pandemic. It was during the pandemic. So something happened. And so like how my family is divided, it's like I know I have some family that's listening, so I'm gonna be careful with my words, but my mother's side of the family, there are some individuals, I will say, one in particular, I'm gonna clearly say, who's just trash. That's the best way I can explain who she is right now. And I never looked at her as trash until she made my adoption a thing. So she's a baby cousin of mine, a younger cousin. I loved her to death. And she is not in a position in life to call anybody names ever. You hear me? She's one of them. Now I forgot what happened. I don't know what the trigger point was, nor do I care. Because whatever the situation was, she got out of pocket and said some really like a disrespectful threat. And one of the things that she said was something along the lines of, that's why your mother didn't want you and she left you on a church step. Like, right? Now, I'm one of those people, I have really thick skin, but I can spit some things back that most people can't handle. So, because this is an adoption podcast and I'm trying to express to you some of the things that we as adoptees tend to go through sometimes, right? I'm going to try to be as polite as I can when I express to you my character, especially when I'm angry. Now, I never had this issue with any family member. So it took 40 some years for an idiot family member to come out of pocket in that way. So I was either going to ignore it or I was going to address it in a special way. So I decided I was going to not ignore it, handle it in a special way. But before I did so, right, I'm being really cool for this podcast. Okay. But before I did so, I had to express my frustration to somebody. Now, the the person that brought this to my attention was another family member on my mother's side that I personally have a problem with, and we'll get into that later because it is pertaining to the adoption. It's another story. But at the time, she was cool, or she pretended that she was the cool aunt. And she told me about the post. And she said, whatever you do, don't look at it. Now, if you say don't look at something, what are you going to? I'm a female. Of course, I'm going to look at it. So I looked at it and I saw the post and I was enraged. I was livid. I was going to hurt baby cousin. I was going to hurt her by any means and all means, because that's how deep that can hit someone who is adopted, right? Now, you might say, well, Tamiya, you said it's never been a thing for you, so why would it bother you? That is why it bothered me, because I wasn't living a delusional life like, oh, la di da, I'm not adopted. But we all understood. But for one, you're telling lies. That's number one. Two, you're disrespecting not just me, but you're disrespecting my mother. You understand? Because you're calling, first of all, another woman mother. Your mom didn't want you. No, my mom does want me. She's at home with my dad, right? Because there you go. Who's your real parent? Who's your real mother? Who's your real father? And who's your real family? So because I considered her my real family, I was raised for her to be my real family. I was there when she was a little baby, just being a bitch then, like she's being a bitch now, right? But I knew her as my family. And for you to say your mother, like fuck everything else she was saying that I didn't care about, you're separating me again. Now you're saying no, no, your real mother left you, yada, yada, yada. I mean, none of this is real because we know, like, I'm not going to get mad because you're stupid and you're talking shit on a public platform and you can't say this to my face. So I knew she was full of shit, but it was the principle. You're saying someone else is my mother. So you insulted not just me, but you insulted my mother, you insulted my grandmother, you insulted my great grandmother because they all believed that I belonged to them and that I'm greatness. They actually, truth be told, placed me before you, right? Because they deemed me to be this amazing child from heaven, which I was. I still am. Okay, you're welcome. But so we had a problem. So that aunt was like, "Don't look." I looked, I had a problem. And I said, "Okay." And when I get angry, I take things to a unsafe level. Okay. And it was going there. So my parents always taught me to think. They always said, when you're angry, calm down because you're less intelligent when you are angry and you're more intelligent when you calm down. And I don't like being stupid, but that just hit a raw nerve. So I wound up talking to my aunt again, and she made it seem like she took care of it. She took care of nothing because the bitch kept going on, which is enraging me more. So finally, I decided I'm going to talk to my mom about it. Okay. Now, when I say that my cousin was trash, I mean, this is literally an understatement. I'm being generous. If you knew her whole story, you would understand that this woman is less than trash, calling me out to the world, by the way. And I say that to say when I called my mom and I told her about it, she actually knew already. She was informed and she was very calm, very ladylike, typical Virgo lady. And she was like, "Yeah, I heard all about it. What's up? What's wrong?" And I'm like, "What do you mean what's wrong?" She said this shit. I'm about to kill her. Da, da, da. I'm wild and I'm pissed. I can't believe this shit's happening to me. Right? So she goes, "I'm not angry, so I don't know why you should be angry. You're my baby. So you know it, I know it. So what the fuck?" She didn't curse because she was too classy. I cursed like a sailor, but yeah. So I was like, "Mom, like she disrespected you. She disrespected Ema, that was my grandma. She disrespected Grandma Amy, that was my great grandma who passed. She was dead and deceased by then. I was like, she disrespected all of us by saying this to the world and blah, blah, blah." And she was like, very simple. Consider the source. She was like, "Do you expect anything better than that from her?" And I was like, "You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right, Mom. You're right." She was like, "Man, please." But I was still hurt though. It was still like a gut wrenching hit below the belt type of situation. And it was just disrespectful. I know who my family is. My family knows, she knows she's my fucking family. You know what I'm saying? Never apologized, never said shit, nor do I care. But it is on site to this day. I've calmed down. I didn't do what I wanted to do. I did tell my mom what I was going to do. I said, "Mom, I'm going to handle this in a special way. Just so you know, I know you're the officer of the law," because she throws that around sometimes. And I said, "I don't care. I'm going to handle this as complete disrespect." And my mom was just like, "Hey, do what you got to do. You're a grown woman." So, but that's how deep and personal I take it. Like, I know my real family. Okay, so cool. But she was right. I had to consider the source. So I'm not, as far as I'm concerned, she's non existent. She doesn't mean shit to me. she's dead to me. If she was on fire to this day and I had a hose to put the fire out, I would fucking water my grass before I would save her life. So there that goes. It's harsh, but welcome to the world of an adoptee. And I'm going to bring people on. So you don't realize so you don't think like, somebody is just fucking crazy. No, this is real shit. This is real shit. Okay. I can even tell you stories where other family members have done it in front of people where I've witnesses. I've seen adoptees like break down and mentally just fucking go batshit because somebody said something like that. They threw the adoption thing in their face. It's some real life shit. I don't know if you guys are aware, but some adoptees do commit suicide. There's a problem. I want to say, like, I don't know why adoption isn't a thing to me. I just think I have other issues that we can discuss, but adoption isn't it unless you cross these lines. This two lines. Hey, you adopted one, which nobody really does. And is that your real mom and dad? And who's your real like that will cause a problem if you're a family member. I'll give you another situation. So my biological family, I met them. I will tell you the story of how I met them, and it's very crazy. And again, consider the source. Remember, my mom wanted me to come from a low income, bottom of the barrel family, and that's what happened. So why would I expect more? But this shit was just fucking crazy. Anywho, there were like two people out of the world of crazy that I met that were sane. I'll be honest. No. Let me be real. There were two people that I kept in contact with. Okay, that from my biological side of the family, my biological incubator side of the family, that I kept in contact were saying. The other people were like, I see why I was adopted. You understand what I'm saying? Thank God for that. Missing two fists and everything. Okay. All right now. But the one person I got really cool with, and she would have been my biological second cousin. She may be listening, don't really give a fuck. Okay. Because she crossed that line and she would cross it regularly, knowing how I feel about being called, saying that their family is my biological family. Okay. So she's a grown woman. She's about, if I'm in my 40s, I think she's in her 60s or close to her 60s. Very young, vibrant though, young, vibrant, 60, living her best life, cool as shit. You know what I mean? That's how me and her, that's how I was able to find my biological mother or get pushed in the right direction because of her. She was the only one that made sense. Long story, I'll tell y'all later. Anywho, me and her developed a bond. She was my second cousin, but we were like homegirls talking on the phone. But she always kept me, especially in the first couple of years, she was the one that was telling me about my biological family and my background. Truth be told, I really didn't care because I don't connect with that side and I'm not trying to connect. But how she looked at it was this, and I was trying to be very sensitive to her, even though I think everybody in the picture should be sensitive to the adoptees' wants and needs. But like I usually do, put everybody else's shit before mine. But she was 16 when my incubator was pregnant with me. So this woman's only 16 years old, older than me. And my biological incubator was hiding her pregnancy, and very few people knew that she was pregnant with me, but she knew, this cousin of mine. And so she found out that I forgot how I connected with her. Let me say that. I don't know. She found out, she contacted me, I contacted her. I don't know. I probably contacted her, right? But she always said, "Oh my gosh, you're the lost baby." And for even though I'm in my 40s, she was always calling me baby because in her mind she was 16 and a baby was supposed to come and a baby never came because the baby was put up for adoption, which is me. So I would give her that. It's okay. This woman, you know, adoption is traumatizing for everyone. Okay, especially when it's a secret. I was a secret, by the way. I guess I should have said that. Okay, so I was a singer. And but she knew of me and it's like, wow, this, the baby came back. So for a while she called me little baby at the age of 40. And then it eventually she would say, your mother, your mother, your mother. And it confuses me when you know the story already and you're calling someone else mother in reference to me. So I'm like, why does she keep talking about my mom like she knows my mom? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? My mom wasn't hanging out with her. My mom wasn't there when she was 16 because I'm thinking about mommy, like my mother. And I'm like, oh, you're talking about your cousin, my biological incubator. Stop calling her my mom. So I used to tell her that. And then she would give me like going by her memory, how 79 was, 78, 79 because obviously, I was conceived before 79 when I was literally born. There was 78, right? Where I was conceived and shit was happening that led up to my conception. So she knew of my biological sperm donor. Okay. And she remembered what he looked like, but she kept calling him my father. Your dad this, your father this. And I'm like, sis, we're cool as shit. All right. If you want us to remain cool and for me not to curse you out like some Negro off the side of the road, stop calling these people my family. You're not my cousin. Okay. You're cool as shit, but you're not my cousin. This isn't my mother. This isn't my father. And it was always, and people do this all the time. Oh, I understand. I understand. I totally understand what you're saying. I understand. I get it. I understand. I understand. And then like seconds go by. So your mom, right? And you're not talking about my mother. I'm going to have a fucking problem with that. Like you don't care about what I'm feeling. I'm not of you. We share the same DNA. It stops right there. We share the same DNA. That's it. That's all. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's all, that's all I got. That's all I'm going to give you. And again, I tried to be sensitive like she was young, but she's old as fuck now. Like you're old now. You're not old as fuck like age discrimination fuck. Like you're old as fuck enough to know better. Respect me. I'm grown. I'm not this little baby. Like I get it. I'm not this little baby. So I can't, I don't, I say we're connected genetically, but funny enough, her and I act alike. We act alike. I think we act alike because we're from the East Coast, even though she lives, well, Georgia's still East Coast, but we're from the same area or whatever. But man, like if she cursed, I could curse her out. We would curse each other out collectively if need be. I never did it though, because I still looked at her as an old head. You know what I mean? I'm still have respect. My parents taught me to respect your elders, but I don't care who you are. You could be Mother Teresa. If you say your real parents and your real family to me, and you're in my family, either directly or indirectly, we're going to have a problem. We got a problem. I wasn't raised like that. Now, if I was raised like that, then that's what it is. Like, address my family accordingly. This is my adoptive mother. This is my adoptive father. This is my adopted grandmom and shit. Like, but that wasn't the case with me. So respect it. Respect it. So I say this and I have this particular episode for a reason because if you know an adoptive person, keep that in mind. If we're in a world today in an era where we have to ask people for their pronouns and we got to respect that, like you don't want to be called her, you want to be called them and all that and the third, then you should be able to give adoptees that same respect. Give us the same fucking respect. Real talk. Okay? This is my this is my real family. Real family. This is my real mother. This is my real father. Okay. Regardless of what you think in your head is best. Now, what you say behind my back is something different. I don't know. Ain't got nothing to do with me. Okay. But respect the adoptee. You don't know what we're going through. You don't know what that person has been through. You don't know where that they're at emotionally with the adoption. You don't know if they were born knowing. You don't know if they just found out yesterday and it's a raw situation. You don't know. But with me, I know this is what it is. Respect it. Okay. Now I'm gonna let y'all go with that. I'm gonna let y'all go on that note. Hopefully that sinks in with you. And if you're an adopted person, you already know what it is. And if people have done this to you, I am truly sorry. I'm sorry because I that's really gotta it sizzles your spirit, man. It pisses it. I'm pissed off for you. How about that? How about that? But anyway, I digress. Let me calm down. But yes, as an adoptee. My real family, they know who they are. My real family is even my Chester family, my nieces and nephews. When you hear me talk about nieces and nephews and my brothers and my sister or whatever, when I'm talking about my brothers, I'm talking about my nieces and nephews. My nieces and nephews are through my brothers. Okay. I only acknowledge 2 out of the 3. We'll get into why I don't acknowledge the 3rd one because that had something to do with the foster care system. Okay? Now, if you hear me talk about, my sister, if you talk about my little sister, that's my little sister, Alicia. I have not talked to her in years. I probably should reach out to her, make sure. But yeah, they're not biologically connected to me. We were in foster care. The courts acknowledge to this day that that is my sister. I will tell that story as well. It's actually a funny story. I got a restraining order on her when we were in our 20s because she pissed me off and she wasn't listening. So I was like, it's just I did it for shits and giggles. But anywho, but this is my sister. That's my family. I do have a biological half sister. I call her my biological half sister. I have no emotional ties to her whatsoever. She, on the other hand, does have emotional ties to me. I can't help that. Again, when you are part of an adoption story and you go take your DNA and try to locate people, when you shake that tree, something's bound to come out. I came out. I am the secret that the family tried to suppress. It came out. It is what it is, and some people are happy about it, and some people aren't happy about it. And we can actually talk about that in the next episode. But anyway, I'm gonna let y'all go. Please leave a comment. Please share your experiences, man, because I want to know. I want to talk about it. Like, let's talk about it. Let's make this a thing. I'm excited. But hopefully this will get a lot of people educated and think about it. If you're about to adopt a child, how are you going to address your child? How are you going to present them to the world? Are you going to be a dickhead and say, this is my adopted baby? I don't care if you adopted an alien and it's obvious and that's why I don't care. Who cares? It don't matter. Is that your child or not? You know what I mean? We don't need to hear a backstory. Oh, well, our family's white and this is an African child. Okay, that's your baby, right? All right, then. What are we talking about? Anyhow, so I'm going to let y'all go. I wish you guys the best, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow me on my other podcast, Coast to Coast Credit. Everything's in the description. You guys have a good one. Take care.